So, did Granny and Money found their uncle's house? Did it started to rain again? Did everything went according to their plan? Were they successful in visiting the eye hospital? To know these answers, watch the next video of the second part of a long walk with Granny story written by Ruskin Bond. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Please like and subscribe my channel and do comment if you are a fan of Ruskin Bond books. I will catch you guys in the next story in the next video. Bye and have a good day. Bye. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel Stories by Me. So, here I am back with another new story. In this video, we are going to start with a new series. The name of the series is Ruskin Bond series. So, in this series, we are going to hear all the stories written by Ruskin Bond. So, first, let's understand who he was. Ruskin Bond was born in Kasauli, Himachal Pradesh and grew up in Jamnagar, Dehradun, Delhi and Shimla. As a young man, he spent 4 years in the Channel Islands and London. He returned to India in 1955 and has never left the country since. He now lives in Landore, Missouri with his adopted family. Ruskin Bond's first novel, The Room on the Roof, written when he was 17, won the John Llewellyn Rhys Memorial Prize in 1957. Since then, he has written several novellas, including Vagrants in the Valley, A Flight of Pigeons, and Delhi is Not Far, essays, poems, and children's books, many of which have been published by Penguin India. He has also written over 500 short stories and articles that have appeared in a number of magazines and anthologies. He received the Sahitya Academy Award in 1993 and the Padma Shri in 1999. So, this was all about Ruskin Bond short story brief. Now, let's begin with the first story of this series. The name of the story is A Long Walk with Granny. So let's begin the story. Granny could hear the distant roar of the river and smell the pine trees beneath her feet and feel the presence of her grandson, Money. But she could not see the river or the trees, and of her grandson she could only make out his fuzzy hair, and sometimes, when he was very close, his blackberry eyes and the gleam of his teeth when he smiled. Granny wore a pair of old glasses. She would been wearing them for well over 10 years, but her eyes had grown steadily weaker, and the glasses had grown older and were now scratched and spotted, and there was very little she could see through them. Still, they were better than nothing. Without them, everything was just a topsy-turvy blur. Of course, Granny knew her way about the house and the fields, and on a clear day she could see the mountains, the mighty Himalayan snow peaks striding away into the sky. But it was felt by Money and his father that it was high time Granny had her eyes tested and got herself new glasses. Well, you know we can't get them in the village, said Granny. Money said, you will have to go to the eye hospital in Missouri. That's the nearest town. But that's a 2-day journey, protested Granny. First, I would have to walk to Nain Market, 12 miles at least, spend the night there at your uncle's place, and then catch a bus for the rest of the journey. You know how I hate buses? And it's 10 years since I walked all the way to Missouri. That was when I had these glasses made. Well, it's still there, said Mani's father. What is? Masuri. And the eye hospital? That too. Well, my eyes are not too bad, really, said Granny, looking for excuses. She did not feel like going far from the village. In particular, she did not want to be parted from Mani. He was 11 and quite capable of looking after himself. But Granny had brought him up ever since his mother had died when he was only a year old. She was his nanny, maternal grandmother, and had cared for boy and father and cows and hens and household all these years with great energy and devotion. I can manage quite well, she said. As long as I can see what's right in front of me, there is no problem. I know you got a ball in your hand. Money, please don't bounce it off the cow. It's not a ball, Granny, it's an apple. Oh, is it? Said Granny, recovering quickly from her mistake. Never mind, just don't bounce it off the cow and don't eat too many apples. Now listen, said Mani's father sternly. I know you don't want to go anywhere, but we are not sending you off on your own. I will take you to Masuri and leave Mani here by himself. How could you even think of doing that? Then I will take you to Masuri, said Mani eagerly. We can leave father on his own, can't we? I have been to Masuri before with my school friends. I know where we can stay. But he paused for a moment and looked doubtfully from his father to his grandmother. You wouldn't be able to walk all the way to Nan, would you, Granny? Of course I can walk, said Granny. I may be going blind, but there is nothing wrong with my legs. That was true enough. Only day before they would found Granny in the walnut tree tossing walnuts not very accurately into a large bucket on the ground. But you are 70, Granny. What has that got to do with it? And besides, it's downhill to Nain and uphill coming back. Uphill's easier, said Granny. Now that she knew Mani might be accompanying her, she was more than ready to make the journey. The monsoon rains had begun, and in front of the small stone house, a cluster of giant dahlias reared their heads. Mani had seen them growing in Nain and had brought some bulbs home. These are big flowers, Granny, he would said. You will be able to see them better. She could indeed see the dahlias, splashes of red and yellow against the old stone of the cottage walls. Look at them now, Granny said. While we are in Masuri, we will get some seeds and bulbs, and a new belt for the white cow, and a pullover for your father, and shoes for you. Look, there is nothing much left of the ones you are wearing. Now just a minute, said Mani's father. Are you going there to have your eyes tested, or are you going on a shopping expedition? I've got only 100 rupees to spare. You will have to manage with that. We will manage, said Mani. We will sleep at the bus shelter. No, we won't, said Granny. I have got 50 rupees of my own. We'll stay at a hotel. Early next morning, in a light drizzle, Granny and Mani set out on the path to Nain. Mani carried a small bedding roll on his shoulder. Granny carried a large cloth shopping bag and an umbrella. The path went through fields and around the brow of the hill and then began to wind here and there, up and down and around, as though it had a will of its own and no intention of going anywhere in particular. Travelers new to the area often left the path because they were impatient or in a hurry and thought they were quicker, better ways of reaching their destination. Almost immediately, they found themselves lost, for it was a wise path and a good path, and had found the right way of crossing the mountains after centuries of trial and error. Whenever you feel tired, we'll take a rest, said Mani. We have only just started out, said Granny. We will rest when you are hungry. They walked at a steady pace without talking too much. A flock of parrots whirled overhead, flashes of red and green against the sombre sky. High in a spruce tree, a barbet called monotonously. But there were no other sounds except for the hiss and gentle patter of the rain. Money stopped to pick wild berries from a bush. Granny wasn't fond of berries and did not slacken her pace. Money had to run to catch up with her. Soon his lips were purple with the juice from the berries. The rain stopped and the sun came out. Below them, the light green of the fields stood out against the dark green of the forest, and the hills were bathed in golden sunshine. Money ran ahead. Can you see all right, Granny? He called. I can see the path and I can see your white shirt. That's enough for just now. Well, watch out! There are some mules coming down the road. Granny stepped aside to allow the mules to pass. They clattered by, the mule driver urging them on with a romantic song, but the last mule veered towards Granny and appeared to be heading straight of her. Granny saw it just in time. She knew that mules and ponies always preferred going around objects if they could see what lay ahead of them. So she held out her open umbrella and the mule cantered around it without touching her. Granny and Money ate their light meal on the roadside in the shade of a whispering pine and drank from a spring a little further down the path. By late afternoon, they were directly about Nain. We are almost there, said Money. I can see the temple near Uncle's house.